Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be testing out and reviewing two different products, both from Beauty Bakerie. This is their Insta Bake Aqua Glass Foundation, as well as their Insta Bake 3-in-1 Concealer. So these are the two that I'm going to be testing out, and I'm super excited to finally be trying this particular brand. So let's start off with some basic information for this foundation. It retails for $34 US, and it comes in 30 different shades. I grabbed the shade 341 WN to try out today. You get 0.9 fluid ounces worth of product, which is just shy of a full fluid ounce, which is what you typically would get with a liquid foundation. This one a little bit under, and it has a shelf life of 12 months. So if you like the foundation, you have an entire year to use it all up. I really like the packaging. It's plastic. This at first I thought it was glass, but it's actually plastic, and I love the fact that it comes with a pump. Now, as far as the description for this foundation, it does state that it is a lightweight formula that is going to deliver full coverage. So it's going to take care of any blemishes that you may have going on for that day, any uneven skin tones, any kind of scarring. That is what this is going to completely cover up. Now, the website does say that it is best applied with a damp blending egg sponge. So I'm going to be using my damp beauty blender in order to apply this today. And you can also pair it with the Insta Bake 3-in-1 Hydrating Concealer. So that is what I'm going to be pairing it with. Now, as far as the finish for this foundation, the website does list it under dewy. Dewy, that is. So I'm assuming that this isn't going to be very drying. It's not going to be matte. So if I'm looking to have a more matte finish in the end, like if I feel it to be a little bit too uncomfortable on the skin, then perhaps I will set it with a powder. Like if it feels too dewy to me, then I will set it with a powder. It's also worth mentioning that this is a vegan formula. It is also cruelty-free, paraben-free, and gluten-free. Now let's move on to the concealer. The concealer retails for $20 US, and you get 18 different shades to choose from. I chose the shade 13, which is Disturb the Peace. As far as what it does, it is a 3-in-1 hydrating concealer. So you can smooth out any imperfections with this. You can also contour, you can highlight, you can conceal, you can do many things with this concealer. It is perfect in order to hide dark circles due to lack of sleep, although mine are not from lack of sleep. They're just something that I always have and always have had. This is also going to take care of any scarring or discoloration. This concealer is fortified with an active ingredient derived from cassava that has strong water binding properties. The under eye area will be smooth, soothed, and hydrated. So we'll see. All right, so let's get started. Now, for the concealer portion of this review, I am going to be testing it out both with a corrector and without a corrector. I want to see what kind of coverage we are left with, whether or not a corrector is needed for someone like me. Now, the corrector that I'm using for today is the Bobbi Brown corrector in the shade Peach. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of that. I'm going to apply it here. All right, so now that we have the corrector in place, let's go ahead and apply the foundation onto the face. All right, so let's apply one pump onto the back of the hand. Whoop. So that's about one pump. It is pretty runny, not too thick, which leads me to believe that this is definitely going to be lightweight on the skin. So I'm only going to be applying it to 1/2 for now, just so that I can zoom you all in and you can see exactly what kind of coverage this is leaving me with. A little bit of glitter there, all right. So just grabbing it with my damp beauty blender. I think this shade is actually pretty spot on for me. All right, so this is one layer. I really like it. I like how it's just, evening everything out. However, I don't feel like this is full coverage right off the bat, but I did apply it with a damp sponge. Usually when I apply foundations with a damp sponge, the coverage is just a little bit less because you're not applying as much foundation onto the skin right off the bat. I think if you apply this with a dense brush, then you would get full coverage right away. I like medium coverage though, like medium to full, that's what I prefer. So I'm not upset about this whatsoever. It certainly does make my skin feel and look really smooth. So that's what it's doing to my skin. It's just making it look very even, very smooth. I like it. So let me go ahead and zoom you all in so that you can get a close-up of the before and after. Okay, so this is before any foundation, and this is the after. All right, and I didn't even have to use the entire pump. I only had to use half for half of my face. So now I'm going to use the other half. I do also have like redness around the nose, and that is taken care of. All right, so now we can go ahead and apply concealer. Now, as far as whether or not you can build this up, I have no idea because it doesn't state that anywhere on the website for the concealer. Yeah, it doesn't state that. And it also doesn't give, like a lot of brands will give you like tips or how to best apply their product. This one doesn't. So yeah, let's just see. Let's just go ahead and apply it and then blend it out and see what kind of coverage this delivers. The little applicator, which is like this dome shaped applicator, it grabs quite a bit of product along the tip. So I'm gonna try not to use too much and not to be too heavy-handed with this product because it is a dewy concealer. I don't want it to settle in between my fine lines because I know that it probably is going to if I apply it too much. So I'm gonna try to be a little bit more light-handed with this. All right, now I'm gonna take my damp sponge, my damp beauty blender here, and then just blend it out under the eye. All right, so there is the right side done. I like it. I like it. It is definitely concealing, that is for sure, but this is the side that I color corrected. So it is getting a little bit of help. Now let's take care of this side. All right, so there's that. As far as coverage, I think they're about the same. Maybe this one's getting a little bit more coverage. It just looks a lot brighter underneath the eyes than this side does, which is perhaps why it looks like it's getting more coverage. I think I'm gonna have to set it on this side especially. I don't know if y'all can see, but I think it's already kind of starting to separate and settle in between my fine lines over here. Not so much over here, maybe a little bit over here, but more so on this side. I don't know if y'all can see, like even from here. Probably can, but it's starting to settle, definitely starting to settle. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of my RCMA No Color powder. So I'm gonna take it with my damp sponge. I'm just gonna shake off any of the excess. I always just like dip it into the powder and then shake it off so that I don't have too much on the sponge. It's just a nice thin layer. And I'm gonna set the under eye area with that. All right, that helps. It certainly helps. All right, now the other side. Oh yeah, it's starting to look pretty bad, so I need to set it before it looks worse. Now, since this is a dewy foundation, I'm also gonna set my forehead because my skin type is oily here along the T-zone and I'm pretty normal everywhere else. The foundation feels a little dewy, but I don't want it to move around or to crack or do anything that it's not supposed to, especially along my oily forehead. So I'm gonna set it with a little bit of powder there as well, just to try to keep it in place throughout the entire day. I'm also gonna set it here along my smile lines to try to prevent it from moving around there. Now, even though the foundation still feels a little dewy, it doesn't feel heavy. But I am gonna, you know what, I'm just gonna set the rest of the face because it does feel dewy. I hate having to, I don't like applying my bronzer or my blush on top of really dewy foundation because I don't feel like it blends out very well. All right, so now that the under eye area is set along with the rest of the face, let me zoom you all in so that you can get a better look here after initial application. All right, so this is the under eye after initial application. So now that you have seen everything up close, I'm going to jump off camera in order to finish the rest of my makeup and I will be right back. Okay, so now I am back. Makeup is done. So far, so good. But like I always say, we shall see how this wears throughout the day. It is currently 9:46. I do plan on wearing this the entire day. And of course, I'll be coming back halfway through the day in order to show you all some close-ups and to talk to you all a little bit about how the foundation and the concealer have been wearing up to that point. So I will see you all back here in a few hours for my midday check-in. Okay, so now I am back for my midday check-in. It is currently, what time is it? 1:23. So I've had this foundation along with the concealer. I've had them on now for almost 4 hours. Like we're just a little bit shy of 4 hours. Now, before I get into my midday thoughts on both products, I'm going to zoom you all in so that you can get a better look at the skin with the foundation and at the under eye area with the concealer after almost 4 hours of wear. Okay, so we're going to start off with the left side of my face. As you can see, you can definitely see my blemishes through this foundation, so it's not really like covering up the redness around my blemishes at this point. I don't think it was at the beginning of the day either, now that I think about it. But it's still medium coverage, it hasn't moved around, and it still feels really lightweight. And of course, same goes for this side, the exact same situation, just minus the blemishes. All right, and this is what the forehead currently looks like. Similar situation as the cheeks. It's medium coverage. You can see my blemishes, but it is staying in place. It's not breaking up and it's not moving around. Also, it's still pretty matte. I don't see my lights bouncing off of my forehead just yet. All right, and this is the situation around the mouth. The foundation has not separated here along my smile lines, and the product hasn't collected there either. All right, and this is the under eye area, and I don't like this concealer. I don't like it. Midday so far, I'm not a fan whatsoever. It just looks really worn already, and I've only had it on for not even 4 hours. Over here on the left side, the side that I did not color correct, it looks very dry, it looks very worn, and it's starting to kind of separate in between my fine lines. And I think also settle is what I saw, settle, the product settling there as well. I don't like it. The color corrected side is wearing a little bit better in that it doesn't look as dry as this left side does. But yeah, overall, not a fan right now. So there you have it. That is the current situation with the foundation and with the concealer. I do plan on continuing to wear these products for about another 4 to 5 hours just to give it a full day's worth of wear. So I will see you all back here at the end of the night for my final thoughts. Okay, so now I am back. It is finally the end of the day, or at least I'm calling it. It has been a long day. I have a headache. I've been trying to fight off this migraine the entire day, and it's finally gotten to a point where I'm like, okay, you win. I'm calling it a day, and that is where I'm at right now. But of course, before I wash everything off and go to bed, because that is what I'm looking forward to the most tonight, I had to come back and show you all exactly what this all looks like on my face after, let's see, what time is it? I don't even know what time it is. It is 7:03. 7:03. It's been a long one. I'm ready. I'm ready to call it a night. So anyway, yeah, that makes it what, about like 9 hours. I've had everything on for 9 hours. Now, before I go into my overall thoughts on both of these products, I'm going to zoom you all in one last time so that you can get a better look at my face and at the under eye area after 9 hours of wear. Okay, so we're gonna start off with the left side, the foundation. It still looks the same as it did earlier on in the day. I don't see any difference from then and now. It's still in place, hasn't moved around, and it doesn't seem like it's worn off anywhere that I can tell. As for the right side of my face, we've got the exact same situation. Nothing has moved around or worn off. Here's what the forehead looks like. I think it still looks pretty matte considering the fact that I've had this on the entire day. This is still looking pretty darn matte, which I'm really, really surprised by. Although it isn't summertime anymore, so, you know, of course, I'm not sweating as much and it's not as hot, so I guess my skin perhaps doesn't get as oily during the winter. But yeah, overall, still matte along the forehead. As for around the mouth, it still looks good. I like this foundation because it's not accentuating any of my fine lines, like my smile lines here on the forehead either. It's not accentuating anything. It's looking really good, still wearing very comfortably. Now we move on to the concealer. Not looking so great. Not at all. As you can see, it's like missing some spots or missing concealer. I don't know why. Overall, it looks dry, and it certainly looks like I've had this on for a really long time. Same goes for the corrected side, the one that I color corrected. I have the similar situation going on here along the inner corner, and I did not cry today. That didn't happen at all. My eyes were not watering, anything like that. So I'm very confused by the missing spots of concealer, and just, yeah, overall, not great. So there you have it. That is what I am left with at the end of the day. And I must say, I like the foundation, but obviously I do not like the concealer. It did not work out for me at all, as you can see. It didn't stay in place. I don't understand the whole patchiness. I'm not really sure why that occurred, because I did set it with a powder, so I would have thought that setting it would help make it stay in place, but that obviously was not the case. And it just looks a little bit too dry underneath the eyes. It didn't stay in place, and it's just not something that I would play with again, honestly. The foundation I liked. Now, the foundation did wear very lightweight. It was not heavy whatsoever. It didn't settle into any of my fine lines. It didn't break up in between my fine lines either. Sometimes foundations tend to break up, especially right here along my 11 or these lines up here. Sometimes foundations tend to separate or settle in between those lines. This one didn't do that. I set it with a powder at the beginning of the day, and I didn't have to worry about it getting like oily or anything like that. It stayed put. It stayed feeling comfortable. It's medium coverage. I wouldn't call this full coverage, especially not if you apply it with a damp beauty sponge. Perhaps if you work with it with a dense brush, maybe that'll give you full coverage right away. But with a damp beauty sponge like the Beauty Blender, it didn't provide me with full coverage. I perhaps had to, add a little bit more in order to get full coverage in certain areas, but I am a medium to full coverage kind of girl, so if you give me medium coverage, I'm good. If you give me full coverage, I'm good, just depending on the day. For most days, I do prefer medium coverage, so this works out just fine. Overall, I'm good with the foundation, not a fan of the concealer, so. Anyway, that completes today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. I truly hope that you enjoyed this video review and that you found it helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on future videos. And also don't forget to follow me on Instagram, where I absolutely love to interact with you all. As always, take care, and I will see you all in my next video. Mwah! Bye.